Hey, this is Chuck. Thanks for watching. We've having a raging blizzard going on up here right now, so I thought it'd be good to get into a project for a while. And what I thought I'd do before I moved into some different things is I'd try and make a bowl out of some BANKSIA pods. So what I've done with this video is I've turned this bowl here, and I've done it again with the dyed epoxy in it. But at the same time I was doing this one, I had a change of structural plans, and I had some leftover BANKSIA pods, so I was turning this one here behind the scenes. It's exactly the same way as the one with the dyed epoxy, except I haven't used any epoxy at all on this one. You won't see me turning this one here. Everything is done with the dyed epoxy bowl. But I've got some comparison photos, and I think they both came out really, really nice. The one without the epoxy is going to be just a bit easier because you don't have to fool around with the epoxy and put it into the crevices and stuff. So thanks for watching, and let's get started. The first step is to come off and square up some of these BANKSIA pods so that I can combine them into one bowl blank. I'm not really sure yet how I'm going to do it, but squaring them off is the first thing I'm going to have to do, and I'll have to get through enough so that I'm taking out that red velvet. So let me go ahead onto the bandsaw right now and start squaring these up. I'm going to have to trim a bit more off each side because I need to get past this little soft fuzzy part. I'm going to call it red velvet. I don't know what the official name is. But I need to cut at least deep enough so that this part of it's going to be out of the equation. Okay, with the first group of three, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the joiner here on that side and on each of these sides. I'll put them together with colored epoxy, and then once that's set, then I'll run the complete side on the joiner on both sides. That way I'll have a nice square block to work with, and then I'll do the same thing with the other three. And as always, before we start epoxying or gluing them together, we need to go through and we need to just kind of clean these crannies out. There's everything from parts of the pod in here to pieces of bug. But we want to get as much of it out as we can. It just makes the adhesion that much better whether we're using epoxy or glue. All right, I have the three pieces of epoxy together now, and I've gone ahead and I've used the red epoxy instead of a wood glue, because I want to make sure I've got a consistent coloring going through the crevices when I start to turn the bowl. I do have the masking tape on the bottom as the join together, just to make sure that any epoxy that may eke through doesn't join itself to my workbench. So we're going to let this set for another 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll move into the next phase of making the bowl. Alright, so the epoxy's set, and we're going to go ahead and put this one piece now, or put it as one piece on the jointer, and get ready so that we can move into the next step. When I first envisioned this project, my thought was that I'd go with just strictly BANKSIA pods and come up with a bowl blank that way. But I've been reconsidering it. I'm just not sure that that it either come out right or that I've got the skill set to pull it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the BANKSIA, and I've got a piece of mahogany and I've got a piece of cherry, and I'm going to make a bowl blank out of this way. We're going to turn a lot of this out, which is why I'm not concerning myself right now with filling in all of the nooks and crannies, or all the crevices, if you will, totally. Once we get the bowl formed, then we'll come back through at that point in time and really focus in on doing all of the crevices and filling everything in. Right now, we just want to get the adhesion going. And we'll be back in a few again. Alright, the epoxy's all set now. And the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to get the compass out. I'm going to put a circle in. And then I'm going to take it to the bandsaw and just soften up the corners a little bit before we put it onto the lathe. I have the centers already marked in the circle from the compass, so the first thing I'm going to do is set the blank up so that I can go ahead and cut a tenon in it, and then I'll reverse it to go off and finish the turning. Alright, and I found the easiest way for me to turn this socket is just to use the medium carbide roughing tool. Okay, I am going to use the large carbide roughing tool to true it up, and I am going to wear a face mask, so I won't be able to talk while this is going on until I get done with that. Alright, I'm now going to cut a socket in what is actually going to be the bottom of the bowl, and then I'll reverse it back over and form it up. Alright, I'm about ready to put my face shield on again, but before I do, what we're going to do is basically just hollow out the bowl, form out the top of it, and just kind of work the shape a little bit till it looks right to me. Alright, I'm going to end part one of the video right now at this point in time, and I'd like to ask everybody to click in and watch part two of making the BANKSIA bowl. Thanks a whole bunch. I'll look forward to seeing you on part two.